Hello guys, Ryan from Husky Moving here, Arlington, Massachusetts. We are a full service moving company. We do commercial and residential real estate. We do disposal, handyman jobs. We do assembly. We do mounting. Mounting. Let's try that again. Mounting. Artwork mounting, TV mounting, mirror mounting, bathroom vanity mounting. Tons of artwork. This week we hung drapes, did matching vanity, did some disposal jobs. What else did we do this week? A couple of moves. What else? I don't know, a bunch of random stuff. Been very busy, so I haven't been doing a lot of videos because I've been tired, to be honest with you. But I got some energy back today. I want to talk to you guys real quickly about a situation I had a couple of days ago. A lot of what I'm about to talk about is just complete common sense, but it's you want to get in the mind frame of presenting yourself as an expert about your field, whatever that may be. Which again sounds like common sense, but what happens is as time goes on and you do more and more jobs, you kind of just want to bang through like the you want to get through the estimating process as quickly as possible because like you don't have the time to deal with it. It's really just like I just want to book the job and get out of there. You start to realize that the more time you spend on like estimating, booking, it takes away from other endeavors. You could be working during that time. You could be doing fun things that you love with your life. So unfortunately, the tendency, human nature tells you want to get through that as quickly as humanly possible. But I had a situation this week that actually reminded me that you have to sometimes slow down and present yourself as an expert to someone. So the situation was, I got a contact from a woman who had heard about my company on Facebook. In my town, we have what's called the Arlington list. And we've gotten a lot of traction through the Arlington list, which if you have something like that in your town, you should definitely be using that. We get a ton of free advertising on there, which is awesome. And I get texts and calls all the time. People are like, yeah, I saw you on the Arlington list. I want to use you. And it's really that simple. I didn't do a thing. I didn't advertise. I did nothing. All I did was go out one day, do a good job for someone, and then the next thing I know, they're advertising to a whole bunch of people throughout my entire town, which is awesome. Anyway, I got a call from this lady. She doesn't give me too much on the specifics up front. I would learn about that a little bit later on. She has an antique bed she wants reassembled, and an older bed that she wants taken apart ahead of time. That's pretty much all I know at the beginning. And so we start chatting back and forth, and I'm trying to like just basically get through the process. Do you want to use me? Do you not want to use me? And she has some stuff she needs to go through in her mind. Come to find out, what I didn't know up front was that this is her dad's old bed. He had handed it down to her. It's important to her. She considers it to be very, very valuable to her. And so she wanted to know that it was going to be handled with care. So what wound up happening, I didn't know this when we started talking. And I actually didn't know this until the very end, until right before I booked the job. But the point of the story is, she starts telling me a little bit about the bed. And, you know, beds are, for the most part, beds are, you know, relatively standardized. There's like, I don't know, maybe like 6 different ways that they attach footboards to headboards, but to rails. But for the most part, a lot of them are very similar. So I asked her to send me a couple pictures. She sent me some pictures. The point of this story is she sent me pictures, and right away I knew a couple of things about the bed from years and years and years in the industry. I looked at the picture of the bed. The end footboard that she sent me the picture of had little round caps on the end, ornamental caps that hang down. Now I know from having done this before that usually when you see those, what you have to do is you move the cap to the side. They usually will rotate either direction. You just rotate them to the side, and then inside of there, and this is the point of the story, inside of there, I know that there's like a 95% chance that there's going to be a really old antique screw in there. It's a square head screw. I also know from having done this before that it's very, very hard to get a tool in the space because it's a circle. Within the circle, there's a square, and the square doesn't leave a whole lot of room to get a tool in there. That's how it's designed. And so, because it was designed this way, you have this big giant bolt with a square head on the end, which is abnormal to start because most bolts have either a Phillips head or a flat head or some sort of a normal device to get a screwdriver or a bit in there and turn it. These do not. It's just literally a square head on the end. That's important because when these beds were designed, they oftentimes were shipped with tools. The tool was specifically designed for the square head screw to fit in the available space inside of that ornamental piece where there's a hole. And so I mentioned that to her. I said, without seeing the inside, I can tell you that there's probably a good chance that there's a square head screw in there. And usually what happens is, I'm going to pre-warn you that 95% of the time, the people do not have the tool that came with the bed, because obviously these beds tend to be very old. This was an old mechanism that was used a long time ago, has since been phased out pretty much. People tend to not have the tools because obviously over the years and years and years, they get left behind, they get put in drawers, people throw them out, whatever. People very rarely have them. I said, but that's the thing. If you happen to have the tool with the screws, let me know, because if you do, it significantly speeds up the time of assembly. And if you don't, what I have to do, and I know this from having had to have done it hundreds of times before, is I basically have to get in there with a pair of needle nose pliers and make like 1/8 of an inch turns. And you just got to keep doing that over and over and over again, because there's very little space to turn in there. And if you don't do that, the alternative is you make big giant turns, but because there's such a small amount of space in there, you wind up marking up the entire end of the bed where the wood is if you're not careful. This is important because if you have the tool, everything goes really quickly, and if you don't have the tool, everything goes really slowly. So I lay this all out to her and I explained to her, and she has no idea what I'm talking about, obviously. But what wound up happening was, she went downstairs to the basement where the bed was. She grabbed the bag of screws, and lo and behold, in the bag of screws, which were all square head, by the way, as I predicted, was a tool. She sent me a picture of the tool. She's like, is this what you're talking about? I'm like, that's 100% what I'm talking about. I'm shocked that you have it. Nobody ever has that tool. The reason why I mention this story is because in this entire conversation, I have now presented myself as an expert in this situation. I already told her what was going to happen before it ever happened. I told her what was going to happen before I saw any pictures of what was going to happen. I saw one picture of the end of a footboard, and I told her everything that was going to happen from that point forward based on my experience. The reason why I'm making this video is because you want to try to do that too. Whenever you can walk a customer through a process from A to Z and you explain to them all the things, including all the things they don't know, which oftentimes is way more important than the things that they do know, you present yourself as an expert. I can tell you with 100% certainty, I want to book in the job, but I can tell you with 100% certainty, she was very nervous before I started having all these comments on the bed because she has no idea who I am. She didn't know who she was dealing with. After I mentioned all that to her and she went downstairs and she saw the screw in the bag and saw the tool, saw the square heads on the end of the thing, she already knew that I'm an expert in my field. I knew exactly what was going on. I knew what I was going to be dealing with. I already laid out to her the two potential options, why one might be fast and why one might be slow. And I had already in her mind, I guarantee you, the second she picked up that bag and she looked at that screw, in her mind, subconsciously, she had already booked me for the job. There was no other option. I mention this not as a way to brag. That's just something that happens over years and years and years of experience. That's not something I did. Like, you don't learn that on day one. It's just an experience thing. It's like 9 million other things that I've learned over the course of time that have nothing to do with my skill set or anything to do with me personally, other than the fact that I've been doing it for a long time. That's it. This has nothing to do with me. The reason why I mention this is because in every scenario that you're going to deal with your customers, you're going to have opportunities to present yourself as an expert. And if you can take the time to slow down, walk them through the process, whatever that process might be, there's a very good chance that somewhere along the line, the things that you say when you're trying to present yourself as an expert is going to subconsciously plant in their mind that you're the only choice for this job. And that's what I want to get you guys to think through. Slow down. Present yourself as an expert. You're way more likely to book the job. All right, guys. Thank you for listening. If you need to get a hold of me, info@huskymoving.com is the email address. And if you want to check out the website, it's huskymoving.com. Thank you for listening as always, and like and subscribe if you found any value. Thank you.